In this video, I'll be explaining printing and manufacturing and software ink. I'll explain what it is, why you should or shouldn't do it, where you should set up printing and manufacturing. Lastly, I'll go through how to build 4 different assembly lines, 3 for in-house products and 1 for an embedded system contract. Printing is when an IP is printed onto a floppy disk, CD, or whatever. This could be your own product, or it could be a print deal from a customer. Manufacturing is when several components are assembled into a final product. This can be a phone, a joystick, a console, or an embedded system for a customer contract. Why do your own printing? For one, it can save you a lot of money. When you order copies, it costs you $2 a copy, as opposed to 33 cents for printing in-house. Selling 100,000 copies a month is $160,000 a month in savings. It allows you to automate the restocking of your products, which frees you to do other things, and it makes sure you don't lose sales because you forgot to restock on copies. Why do your own manufacturing? You need to do manufacturing if you plan on selling consoles or phones, which can be highly profitable. You can order prints of consoles and smartphones, but ordering prints can cost up to double, eating your profits. The embedded system contracts are a great source of additional income without requiring more manpower. Some of the downsides to printing and manufacturing are they are highly vulnerable to thefts, so you need to have 24/7 security, or it's highly recommended. There is medium to high upfront costs, the machines are quite expensive, and medium to high operating costs, as printing copies of your own consoles can cost millions of dollars. Lastly, manufacturing takes up a lot of space. You should build your manufacturing with access to the roof to send your products via helipad. Your assembly lines don't have to be on the top floor. You can use box elevators to transfer your product up as many floors as you need to. The helipad needs to be on the top floor, and you only need 1 helipad. Doing something like this won't work. I've tried. If you haven't unlocked the helipad yet, do that first. All you have to do is print 100,000 copies of any one of your products. You don't even have to sell it. Couriers can be cheaper to operate when you're printing at small scale, say less than 27,000 copies a month. The second I start printing more than that, couriers become more of a headache to deal with, and I try to avoid using them. Before you get into manufacturing, you should have at least $500,000 if not $1 million to afford all the equipment. You can take a small loan to afford this. If you want to do manufacturing contracts and print deals, you also need to have the required business reputation. Side note, when manufacturing and printing, you'll first need to spend your money producing the product. You make your money back with profit when you actually get the product to the customer. In one of my demonstrations, I'll show how you can go bankrupt only to be fine next month once you sell the product. So, here I am with $300 million. I don't think you need that much, but $50 million would be a good bet, a good safe bet. What would you want to do for a hardware release? So, by hardware release, we mean computer, like an operating system, and you choose not computer, but console or phone. So I already have this worked on. I went to the design phase and the alpha phase, and now we're in the beta phase. When you are in the beta phase, you can start printing something. Printing will give you the options to manufacture it in-house. Because right now, if we go to manufacturing, there's software printing, which maybe in a different tutorial. It's fairly simple. You set up a print shop and you have it yeeted into space. Hardware printing is a little bit more complicated. It's kind of a bit more like Factorio. We have no assembly line set up. I'm going to go through that all with you right now. So here's how you do it. For my hardware release, my super box, as it's called, you will have a console and a controller. So this will require 2 different assembly lines. In this game, there's basically 3 different products: the console, the controller, and a cell phone. There's different components that go into it, but it's all pretty much the same thing. So let's click on print. It'll tell us we don't have any assembly lines ready for this. That's fine. We'll set up print for the other one. So we have our 2 print jobs set up here. And so this is where it gets expensive. $50 per copy, $30 per copy, and what's this? 300,000 copies a month is what they optimally want you to make. So that's 1.5 million a month right there. So maybe you don't need 100 million, but I would recommend tens of millions of dollars at least. Also, the equipment we're going to need here is really expensive. So let's get into this super box. Let's make our console first. We can see right here our assembly line. A printer is a really stupid term for this, and assembler is a bad term either, but just stick with it. So a printer is something that produces things that go on the conveyor belt. Assemblers do stuff to them. Sometimes they combine stuff, sometimes they don't. Over here, an assembler combines two objects together, and they both have to be fed onto a common conveyor belt. This shows it's split up. This isn't accurate. So let's stick with the super box. So they recommend 4 printers into 2 assemblers, and then 2 printers into 2 assemblers into a final assembler. Yo Obelisk, I'm recording a tutorial right now on how manufacturing works. If you have any questions about manufacturing, please enter them in chat. And by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is recorded part of a live stream. I encourage you to subscribe to my Moon Ninja channel on YouTube for future live streams and other Software Inc. tutorials. And drop a like and leave a comment, by the way, if you enjoyed this video. So, this is a total of 6 printers, 4 assemblers, 1 final assembler. What's this pop out? We'll see if that sticks with us here. Here's my manufacturing building I have here. It's the top floor. We hit C. We can kind of see what we're going on here. The top floor. So what I'm going to do is the helipad approach. First thing I'm doing is placing the helipad. Then 1 conveyor belt. Now I'm going to start placing the printers. 4 for the controllers and 2 for the plastic. Then I will build 2 assemblers for the cases and 2 assemblers for the motherboard. I'm going to make sure that we are on the right category. I'm going to assign these printers to print out controllers. These 2 I'll set the plastic. Those 2 assemblers can connect straight into the printers because it's 1 for 1. Those 2 motherboard assemblers each take 2 printers, so I'll have to use conveyor belts to feed 2 printers into 1 assembler. I'm setting up another assembler. This will be the final assembly. All 4 assemblers feed into the final assembly assembler, which will feed into a component recycler, which will then go towards the helipad. I'm setting the outputs. Everything's working. Component recycler, conveyor belt to helipad. Assembly line 1 is done. I'm going to close this window. I'm going to go back to the manufacturing menu and set up our second line for the controller. Hit pop out to bring up this little reference for us. First thing I'm going to place is 6 printers, 4 for the controllers and 2 for gyroscope. I'm going to set up another printer for the plastic. This plastic printer will go into a splitter which will feed into 2 assemblers. Make sure you change your category over to joystick, or it will not work and you'll be wondering why. So I'm assigning the printers to 4 controllers and 2 gyroscopes. Right now it's set up to 6 gyroscopes. I'll fix that in a second. I'm placing the assemblers. 2 of these assemblers will be for the cases, 2 will be for the motherboards. Placing the conveyor belts. So 2 controllers, 1 gyroscope feeds into 1 motherboard assembler. I'm going to assign these assemblers to make the motherboards. Assign these to make cases. I'm looking at my numbers here. So these 4 assemblers feed into 4 final assemblers. So I'll feed them all together on a conveyor belt and put them in a splitter. Have 1 conveyor belt point down and feed that into 2 assemblers. Set those, the output to be final assembly. Component recycler. 2 conveyor belts feeding into it. And feed that to the conveyor belt leading to the helipad. This is still not set up right. I noticed that now by looking at the numbers. 04 printers, printing controllers. So we'll change that to printing controllers. And the plastic printer's not set up either yet. So let's fix that. There we go. This assembly line is set up. Let's move on to the next one. Our next assembly line is to set up a phone. Pop out. I'll build my phone on the floor below my other 2 assembly lines. So I'll use a box chute here to transport my products to the upper floor. Put a conveyor belt here and we'll start assembling this line. So we have 1 printer going into 1 assembler and then 6 assemblers, printers. I'm going to scoot them over a little bit because the final assembly takes 4 assemblers, so I'm planning for some room. Set this output to plastic. Make sure you switch over to smartphone or the phone operating system, or it won't work. That will be the case assembler. These 4 will be controllers. These 2 will be screens. And so we're going to place 2 assemblers for the motherboard step. Set output to motherboard. Everything's looking green so far. 4 assemblers. So this gets a little complicated here. What I like to do is have all of this feed into 1 and then feed into a splitter and then from there into 2 other splitters. So here's my first splitter. I'll go into 2 conveyor belts and then from there we'll go into another 2 splitters. Now there may be more optimal designs out there. I'm just showing a simple design that's straightforward. Have these conveyors point down. Now we have all 4 final assemblers arranged. I'm going to set their output. I got to select them again. To make sure maintenance has access to the middle 2 machines, I'm not going to immediately use conveyor belts. I'm going to raise them to using a conveyor ramp to an upper level so people can walk underneath this higher level conveyor belt and repair the inner machines. From here I'll drop it down using conveyor ramp back down to a lower level and then I'll feed it to the output. Oh yeah, finally 1 component recycler at the end. And feed this to the roof via that box chute. Now we can see all 3 assembly lines are up and running. You can see the per month values are not 0. Now that you have your money, we can accept one of these jobs. There's a couple of jobs here. I don't like any of them. This one pays better. It's only going to pay us 33 cents per copy made. Setup. Simple enough. That's what I was looking for. Pop this out. Printer. Printer. Here we go. That is set up. Set this to output a board. Change this to embedded system. Assembly. So now we have a valid manufacturing line set up. Now when we click on manufacturing, we can see we can meet the goal. It's going to cost us some money. It's going to cost us a lot of money. We did it. We're going to do a print job. Let's print something that's far away. Simple. We'll accept it. Tells us our print capacity right here of 18,000 a month. Our goal. We will not reach it. We'll need more printers. Luckily, I was planning on buying more printers for this. So we'll go to manufacturing. All the space is occupied. I kind of placed too many, but this is kind of show you how you possibly might want to arrange them. As long as somebody's got access to one side of it, people can access, the maintenance can access on this side. These rows have space here. And our print capacity is 400,000 a month. The goal is a quarter of that. So we could, in theory, pick up a few more print jobs, and so we will. Let's go to deals. May of 92. Oh, we can definitely get that done in time. December of this year. 3 million copies. We can't do that in time. 180,000 copies. 250,000 copies. And now we have a bunch of jobs lined up here. And we could prioritize them. If the deadline wasn't going to be met, for example, this December one's too early, we could lower the priority on these other ones. And you can see how many copies a month it does then. We'll do it in 1 month by lowering the amount of copies it prints of all the other ones. And it tells you, red means it won't reach the goal in time. But at 40,000 copies a month, we will reach the goal in time. We're going to set these all back to maximum. and let this take off for a second. Printing, right? Printing them. It just takes a second. Wow. Printing discs is much cheaper, much cheaper than printing components. And I actually do printing. I regularly do in-house printing of software. Start printing it. How many copies would you like to print that you like to have in stock before pausing? So this is where you type in 15,000 copies in stock always. Alright, and that's the end of the guide video. I covered how to make 3 different manufacturing lines, how to do a embedded system manufacturing line, and how to do a print deal. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, and maybe subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment about which parts you found most useful, and maybe which parts I could improve.